Hello and welcome. If this is your first time joining me, or welcome back if you've been following along with me. I'm still Michael Beck. And in my last video, I talked a bit about freedom and control and maybe the lack thereof. And I may or may not have used the word privilege at some point in regard to the lack of freedom and control that one may or may not have. And I saw something online that got me thinking more about that, and I wanted to share it. So let's see here. I am going to try to pronounce the person's name, probably butcher it, and then I'll just spell it, and you can decide for yourself how to pronounce it. But it looks like Prabha Nada Kapil. It is Prabha for the first name and Nandagopal for the last one. So that's a tricky one, struggle for me. That's definitely not a name from my native language, but yeah. So this is something that they had said. It was a comment in relation to something that they had written. So they said, "I don't want to lecture anyone for tuning out of politics. I get it, I really do. But the reality is, when you say I'm just not into politics, what it really means is that the system is working well for me, and I don't need to worry about it. And generally, people who are in a position where things are going well are privileged. Now, I wrote this as someone who, in many ways, is immensely privileged, but also who is culturally and racially marginalized. Now, why is it a problem to say I'm not into politics? It's a problem because if we all check out of politics, then who's keeping the parliamentarians who is keeping the parliamentarians to account? Our silence isn't going to create change. It is merely going to protect the status quo. Now, unless you are thrilled about cost of living crisis, about the rising the rising inequity, there's a lot happening at the moment, then you probably want to reconsider checking out. So that is the comment that they made. And so just thinking about that, I really appreciated that they were able to say that they have a manner of privilege at the same time that they have things that they are marginalized for. And I think that what we can so often get into is kind of a sort of game of sorts, where it's sort of the privileged versus the victim, and it's kind of a game of who is the greater victim. And it's a sort of thing where those who are privileged are the bad guys, and those who are victims are the good guys. And I just think it's tricky and problematic and not helpful. I think it's helpful. I appreciate what they did to recognize again that it's both. It's not that they're only marginalized or that they're only privileged. It's both. And I think so often, yeah, it's a case that we maybe have things that we make us kind of stand out, not fit in, things that maybe we were, yeah, I don't know, bullied for, things that just, make us not fit in, and, make life just generally challenging and difficult for us socially. And at the same time, some manner of privilege that we have. I guess just speaking for myself, for example, is I think certainly historically and still there's a manner of privilege that comes from being a white male in American society. And yet at the same time, like I have my my learning disabilities. I have physical health challenges, mental health challenges, and so for me, like it's can feel like really easy to feel the odd man out, and that there are things that I don't know that I would use the word marginalized, but some kind of not really fitting in with and standing out and feeling some kind of or opportunities at least to be discriminated against. And again, at the same time, like in so many ways, I have a lot of privilege, like the fact that I'm kind of a part of the racial which have you group that's kind of been in a position of control for so long. And I think, yeah, my parents weren't super like well off financially, and my parents are doing have done pretty well for themselves, but I think that it was kind of a situation where they're positioned where it kind of with a light enough of a go-getter attitude and working hard, they were able to make something for themselves. And not to say they didn't work hard, but I think that there was a manner of privilege that allowed certain things to be possible and to happen for them. And so, and by that, I've inherited that, like, from the, financial stability that they had, um, and just, various opportunities that they had that just kind of were extended to me. I recognize that, yeah, I am a recipient of that. And at the same time, again, that there are things that, if it looked different for me, certain things that haven't quite transferred, I guess, or I don't know, like, again, just, yeah, having health challenges, having learning struggles, like definitely the privileges that I had set me up in some kind of a way, but it wasn't kind of the whole story. Like I guess my privilege maybe only went or goes so far, but again, it's both. And so I don't know. Yeah, and I don't want to be just seeing myself as a victim, or I don't want to feel overly shameful for the privilege that I have, that I inherited. But kind of going maybe back to the conversation again with the manner of privilege that I have, do I want to see that extended to others, or do I just kind of want to hold on to it, and or just look at potentially problems in the world and just say like, oh, like, well, I'm fine. I mean, again, I have my struggles, so it's certainly not fine. But I think that maybe that's part of the wake up for me, is that for so long, like things seemed like they were fine and being taken care of, and now it's like, wow, like I have a lot of financial anxiety. I have just so much uncertainty about how things are going and how things are going to go with you know um, finances, health, and when there's kind of certain things going on socially, politically, it just creates even more just strain. And so it's I can't sort of just be the kind of the way where I was, where it's like everything is fine and I'm doing well, and so I don't have to worry about it. And so I sort of wish like my struggles on others, but I think sometimes it can take maybe a bit of a life change and a wake up call to see things differently, maybe see why things matter and why they're important. But I do hope that, again, that it won't take um, things to happen to people to see it. But But I guess, yeah, that's maybe why, again, like conversation can be helpful, important, and sharing things and hoping that people will, have the ears and the curiosity to hear it and think about these things. And so it's part of what I'm doing here, sharing. And so, yeah, just thinking about, maybe we struggle a lot in so many ways, but maybe what are the things that we are privileged? And again, do we want to see that for others, or is it just enough for me to have it and not really worry about other people? Um, so yeah, there's maybe more I could say. I think that's all that I really had. So I'm gonna leave it there. But as always, would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts, any additions to what I said, anything you feel like I overlooked or might have missed. Um, and yeah, thank you as always for taking the time to consider these thoughts with me. And until next time, please stay well and take care. All right. Bye.